Imagine like a 2-year-old tech startup just completely bankrupting a 50-year-old legacy monopoly.
Right, just out of nowhere.
Yeah, almost overnight. Like, they don't just capture some market share, they completely rewrite the rules of the entire industry.
Leaving all the old executives just, completely bewildered.
Exactly. And that is exactly what just happened in Tamil Nadu politics following the May 2026 election.
It really is a stunning sequence of events.
Oh, it's a political earthquake. An actor named Vijay just triggered this massive shift, but, it turns out winning the election was actually the easy part.
Oh, absolutely. The aftermath is where it gets incredibly messy.
Right, because now there's this labyrinth of a constitutional trap. And it's left 25 seasoned, veteran politicians essentially locked out in the cold, just begging to keep their jobs.
Yeah, it's a high-stakes lesson in constitutional law and really the brutal reality of political leverage.
So welcome to today's deep dive. We are so glad you are joining us for this because, honestly, the drama here is unmatched.
It really is.
Today, our mission is to unpack this tectonic shift in Tamil Nadu politics. We're leaning on a really solid stack of sources for this one. We've got raw election data from the Election Commission, political commentary from the Statesman and India Today.
We also have some great strategic breakdowns from the Economic Times.
Yeah, and to make sense of the legal mess, we are using analysis from the VD Center for Legal Policy.
Because the legal side is really the crux of the drama later on.
Oh, for sure. Okay, let's unpack this. We are looking at actor-turned-politician Vijay and his brand new party, the Tamalaga Vetri Kazhagam, or TVK for short.
Which is only about 2 years old, right?
Barely 2 years old. And they just upended decades of dominance by the traditional Dravidian parties. But we're not just looking at the win. We are going to break down the sheer chaos of the floor test that followed.
Because to understand where these rebels are right now, you first have to understand the sheer scale of the disruption.
Right. It tempted them to break ranks in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. This wasn't just a close election. It was a total realignment.
Let's look at the raw numbers from the Election Commission, because they are staggering. TVK secured 108 out of 234 seats.
Which is huge.
It's massive. They captured nearly 35% of the vote. That is over 17.2 million votes for a party that, functionally, did not exist 3 years ago.
And you have to look at who they took those seats from.
Right. The ruling DMK just crashed. They went from 133 seats in the previous election all the way down to just 59.
A massive drop.
And the main opposition, the AIADMK, fell to 47. I mean, TVK completely decimated the established dual-party system.
They really did. But that 108 number, that's crucial. It's also where the whole problem starts.
How do you mean?
Well, because 108 seats is a massive victory, sure.
Bruh.
But in a 234-member assembly, you need 118 seats for a simple majority.
Ah, right. So they were short.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So TVK was the largest party, but they were 10 seats short of actually being able to form a government on their own. They walked right into a volatile hung assembly.
Okay, before we get into the frantic scramble for those 10 missing seats, I want to talk about how TVK actually pulled this off.
The strategy side of it.
Yeah, because the Economic Times ran this analysis that I thought was fascinating. They drew a direct, really striking parallel between Vijay's rise in Tamil Nadu and Arvind Kejriwal's rise with the AIADMK Party, or AAP.
Oh, in Delhi back in, 2013?
Yeah, 2013 and 2015.
It's a very apt comparison. If you look at the mechanics of AAP's initial success in Delhi, they capitalized on this deep-seated public disenchantment with legacy politics.
People were just tired of the usual options.
Exactly. They ran on a fierce anti-corruption platform, and they completely bypassed the traditional political infrastructure. They went totally solo.
No pre-poll alliances at all.
None. They refused to work with the established giants, and TVK replicated that playbook almost line for line in Tamil Nadu.
It's like that direct-to-consumer model we see in tech. They didn't rely on existing political networks or, local ward bosses to get out the vote.
Right. Vijay used his immense personal stardom to communicate directly with the voter, just bypassing the middlemen entirely.
And they combined that cultural capital with some highly targeted welfare promises.
Yeah, the economic messaging was highly specific. TVK wasn't just running on Vijay's charisma.
Right, they had actual policy offers.
Exactly. They promised 2,500 rupees in monthly assistance for women. They promised free LPG cylinders and targeted support for unemployed graduates.
Which is exactly what AAP did with free electricity and water in Delhi.
Precisely. You bypass the abstract ideological debates and you just offer immediate, tangible economic relief to very specific demographic blocks.
Okay, wait. But I have to ask, is this actually a permanent structural shift?
What do you mean?
Well, to me, it kind of sounds like another flash-in-the-pan vanity project. I mean, startups can disrupt a market with a flashy new product and heavy subsidies, sure, but they also burn through their cash and collapse in a year when the hype dies down.
That's true.
And like, Bollywood stars jump into politics all the time, right? They win a seat on name recognition and then accomplish absolutely nothing.
That's a fair skepticism.
Yeah.
But, South Indian politics is a completely different beast.
Really? How so?
Well, you're right that Bollywood stars like Amitabh Bachchan or Hema Malini usually just campaign or serve as a single member of parliament. But in Tamil Nadu, cinema and political architecture are deeply intertwined.
Oh, right, like MGR.
Exactly. MGR or Jayalalitha or NTR in neighboring Andhra Pradesh.
Yeah.
They didn't just join parties, they founded them. They built massive, enduring grassroots organizations.
Oh, I see. They convert the cultural capital into actual long-term executive power. They govern.
Yes. They become chief ministers.
Mm.
But to your point about this being a flash in the pan, that is exactly the argument the traditional establishment is desperately trying to push right now.
Interesting.
If you look at the India Today report, the former chief minister, M.K. Stalin of the DMK, he had a very pointed reaction to TVK's victory. He completely dismissed it.
What did he say?
He called it a, quote, cinema tsunami, rather than a genuine political wave.
Cinema tsunami. Wow. I mean, it's catchy. I'll give him that.
Yeah, but it's meant to be highly dismissive. Stalin actually predicted that voters will soon, quote, lose interest in this toy and return to the DMK, just like a child looks for its mother.
So that is some strong language.
Very strong. He boldly claimed that the TVK government is currently just surviving on borrowed time and that this new administration won't last a full 5-year term.
And Stalin's confidence there isn't just, sour grapes. It's actually based on the math. Which brings us to the crux of the drama.
The floor test.
Right. Because TVK fell short of that 118 majority mark, Governor Rajendra Arlikar had to step in. And based on constitutional norms, when an election yields a hung assembly, the governor can't just hand over the keys to the largest party and say, good luck.
Exactly. Legal analysts from the VD Center point out that in this scenario, the governor has to demand a floor test.
They need proof.
Yes. Before swearing Vijay in as chief minister, the governor needed mathematical proof delivered on the actual floor of the Legislative Assembly that TVK commanded the confidence of the House.
Which triggered an absolute frenzy for those 10 missing seats. TVK needed 118, they only had 108. And this scramble resulted in the most dramatic, spectacular backfiring defection of the entire election.
It really did.
So here is how the math played out. A group of former DMK allies actually crossed over to back TVK. You had the Congress Party, which won 5 seats, along with regional players like the VCK, the Viduthalai Chiruthalai Gal Kachi, and the IUML, the Indian Union Muslim League.
Right.
Together, they gave Vijay the numbers he needed to officially form a government.
But that wasn't the shocker.
No. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the real political earthquake happened on the opposition benches.
Yeah, with the AIADMK.
Exactly. The principal opposition now was the AIADMK, the party that got reduced to 47 seats. Their leader, Edapati K. Palaniswamy, widely known as EPS, issued a strict party whip.
And for those who might not be familiar with parliamentary procedure, a whip isn't just a strong suggestion.
Right, it's serious business.
A party whip is a formal, legally binding directive issued by party leadership. It orders all their elected representatives to vote a certain way on a specific bill or motion.
So what did EPS order?
In this case, EPS ordered all 47 AIADMK legislators to vote against Vijay's TVK government during the confidence motion.
But they didn't listen. And this is where the strategy goes completely off the rails. Despite that strict whip from EPS, 25 out of those 47 AIADMK legislators openly defied orders.
25 of them.
Yeah, they were led by 2 massive political heavyweights, former ministers S.P. Vilamani and C.V. Shanmugam. These 25 rebels stood up on the floor of the assembly and voted for Vijay's confidence motion.
They actively helped save the TVK government.
They did, and you have to ask why. I mean, why would 25 veteran politicians, former ministers who know exactly how the system works, openly defy their party boss on something as crucial as a confidence motion?
Well, the reporting in the Statesman gives us the exact motive. They were making a massive calculated gamble for executive power.
They wanted to be in charge.
Right. They broke ranks and delivered their 25 votes to Vijay with the clear expectation that they would be rewarded with cabinet berths in the newly formed TVK government.
Oh, they saw a rookie chief minister scrambling for stability and they tried to play kingmaker.
Precisely. But they completely miscalculated the leverage of the other allies.
Completely. The gamble failed spectacularly. Because of the Congress, the VCK, and the IUML, those former DMK allies who had already crossed over to support TVK, they formed a hardline blockade.
Yeah, they were having none of it.
They went straight to Vijay and threatened to immediately withdraw their own support if those 25 AIADMK rebels were given any ministerial roles.
Which, if you think about it, makes perfect sense. Political power, especially in a cabinet, is a zero-sum game.
Right.
If you are a smaller regional party like the VCK, and suddenly 25 seasoned, well-funded AIADMK heavyweights enter the cabinet, your own influence is instantly diluted.
The choice portfolios, public works, finance, transportation, they'd all go to the seasoned ministers, leaving the smaller allies with just the scraps.
Exactly. They were protecting their own slice of the pie.
So they forced Vijay's hand. He couldn't risk losing the original allies who had secured his baseline majority. So he just shut the door entirely on Vulumani, Shanmugam, and their 23 followers.
A brutal shutout.
As the statesman aptly described it, these 25 rebels are now, quote, all dressed up and nowhere to go. They brought the votes, saved the government, and got locked out of the cabinet room entirely.
It is a profoundly humiliating position for veteran politicians. But, it's actually much worse than just missing out on a promotion.
Right, because of the legal side?
Yes. By defying the party whip, they triggered an existential legal threat to their careers.
Okay, so if you're listening and doing the math at home, you're probably thinking, wait a minute. 25 out of 47 legislators rebelled. That is more than half the party.
True.
If they hold that much collective leverage, why can't they just form their own independent bloc? Why can't they just formally ally with TVK from the outside and retain their power? Like, why are they considered stranded?
This is where we get into the real meat of the deep dive. What's fascinating here is the rigid mathematical trap of the Indian Constitution, specifically the 10th schedule.
Okay, let's break this down.
The VD Center for Legal Policy provides a great anatomy of how this works. The 10th schedule is India's anti-defection law.
Right. This was brought in to stop the old Ayaram Gayaram era, right?
Exactly. Ayaram Gayaram literally translates to Ram came, Ram went.
Love that phrase.
It's culturally famous. It refers to the absolute chaos of Indian politics back in the 1960s and 70s. The politicians would literally flip sides 3 times a day, depending on who was offering the biggest bribe or, the best cabinet post.
Governments were just constantly collapsing.
Exactly. So in 1985, Parliament amended the Constitution to add the 10th schedule.
And what does it actually do, practically speaking?
Under paragraph 2 of the 10th schedule, voting against a formal party whip or voluntarily giving up your party membership are explicit, immediate grounds for disqualification from the assembly.
Wow.
It is a strict liability rule.
Yeah.
You defy the whip, you lose your seat. You are no longer an elected representative, and you have to face the voters again in a by-election.
But the law has exemptions, right? Because if half a party fundamentally disagrees with the leadership, that shouldn't just be considered a defection. That's a legitimate split in the party's ideology. And like we said, 25 out of 47 is well over 50%.
You would think so, and originally you would have been right. When the law was first written back in 1985, it recognized a split.
Okay.
If 1/3 of the elected members of a party broke away at the same time, they were protected from disqualification. The logic was exactly what you just said. One guy leaving is a defector. 1/3 of the party leaving is an ideological schism.
Okay, wait, so 25 out of 47 is definitely more than 1/3. So why are they in trouble?
Because that 1/3 split rule turned out to be a total disaster.
Really?
Oh yeah. Throughout the 1990s, during the era of unstable coalition governments, political operatives realized they couldn't just buy legislators one by one anymore. So they just started buying them in bulk.
Oh my God.
They would engineer these massive 1/3 splits to topple governments legally. It was wholesale horse trading.
Oh, wow. So they just scaled up the corruption to meet the legal threshold.
Precisely.
Oh.
So, to stop this, Parliament passed the 91st Amendment in 2003, and they completely deleted the split exemption from the Constitution.
Just wiped it out.
Today, the law does not recognize a simple split, no matter if it's half the party or even 60% of the party.
So what is the exemption now? Like, how do you leave a party without losing your job?
The only way to defect collectively without losing your seats is through a formal merger. A breakaway faction must formally merge with another political party.
Okay.
And to legally execute a merger, you need the explicit agreement of at least 2/3 of the elected legislators of your original party.
Oh, wow. 2/3. It's almost like trying to initiate a hostile corporate takeover. You might have 55% of the voting shares, which feels like a majority. But if the corporate bylaws strictly require 66% to force a merger, your takeover fails and you just get ousted from the board.
That is a perfect analogy. The constitutional bylaws require 2/3.
Okay, let me do that math for the AIADMK. They have 47 seats in the assembly. 2/3 of 47 is 31.3. You obviously can't have a third of a person, so you round up. You need exactly 32 legislators to agree to a merger to trigger the constitutional protection.
And there's the trap. Vulamani and Shanmugam only managed to convince 25 members of the Legislative Assembly MLAs to defect with them.
25.
25 is mathematically less than 32. They are exactly 7 people short of constitutional protection.
Wait, they took the leap, defied the whip, and missed the safety net by 7 votes.
By 7 votes.
That is wild.
And the consequences are immediate. Because they failed to hit that 2/3 threshold, EPS, the leader of the AIADMK, has already initiated formal disqualification proceedings against all 25 of them with the Speaker of the Assembly.
It's just astounding. They tried to execute a hostile takeover, failed to get the shares, and now they've practically handed over their own political execution warrants.
It's a massive miscalculation.
And the aftermath of this, the reality they're facing right now, is incredibly stark. According to the reporting in The Statesman, facing imminent disqualification and completely locked out of TVK's cabinet, SP Vulamani has been forced into this massive, very public climb down.
And a climb down in Tamil Nadu politics is a deeply humiliating affair.
It really is. I mean, he is now claiming to the press that they never intended to split the party.
Oh, of course not.
Right. He's arguing that they just wanted to vote, quote, in line with the people's mandate because TVK won the election.
Sure.
He is suddenly holding press conferences, praising the historic Amma rule of the late Jayalalitha, affirming EPS as the one true general secretary of the party, and just desperately seeking reconciliation.
They're crawling back to the party boss they just tried to overthrow, essentially begging not to be fired.
It's amazing.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we are witnessing is an incredibly volatile landscape. On one hand, you have an actor-turned-politician in Vijay who meticulously replicated the AAP grassroots playbook, bypassed the establishment, and seized power against all odds.
Right.
But on the other hand, you have the traditional Dravidian giants like the DMK and AIADMK. They are wounded, but still deeply entrenched, and they are banking entirely on this fragile new coalition collapsing under its own weight.
And caught right in the crossfire are these 25 rebels, learning the absolute hardest way that political gambles don't just require ambition and a few friends, they require exact constitutional math.
It's a stark reminder of how the system is engineered. In Indian parliamentary democracy, the individual legislator has almost zero autonomy once that party whip is issued.
You're boxed in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are a delegate of the party first and a representative of your constituent second.
And, that leaves us with a really provocative final thought to consider. We talked at the beginning about how the rebels were locked out by the math. The anti-defection law, this 10th schedule, was engineered with a very specific, noble purpose to stop unprincipled power grabs, stop the bribery, and stabilize governments.
Right.
And looking at this specific case, it worked perfectly. It absolutely stopped these 25 rebels from securing the power they were gambling for.
It functioned exactly as a constitutional deterrent should.
But look at the side effect. Look at these 25 legislators right now. They are being forced to stand in front of microphones and hollowly pledge absolute loyalty to a party leadership they just tried to betray.
Yeah, just to survive.
They're doing it simply to keep their jobs. It really forces us to ask, what happens to the very concept of representative democracy when a legislator's vote is legally owned by the party elite?
That's the real question.
If a legislator cannot vote according to what they believe is the actual mandate of the people without losing their seat, who actually holds the power in a democracy? Is it the voters who elected the representative or the party boss who holds the whip?
The law prevents chaos, yes. But it also enforces a kind of rigid conformity that can completely stifle genuine political shifts. It prioritizes the stability of the party over the conscience of the elected official.
It's a brilliant but brutal system. The math is absolute, but the morality of it is anything but clean. It's definitely something to mull over as we watch this new TVK government try to survive its first term in a highly fractured assembly.
It's going to be fascinating to watch.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive today. Keep questioning the math, keep looking at the mechanisms behind the headlines, and we'll see you next time.